Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast. And we got Playa Props here on a Wednesday for you guys in between the NBA Cup games that will return on Friday with those beautiful courts. We're going to be taking a look at the Playa Props we have here in this episode. Also got Best Bets up in a separate one. And we're bringing both of those to you each and every weekday throughout this NBA season. So make sure to subscribe to that page, give that video a like, and continue to follow along. Quick reminder as well, we do have that great deal up for the BetMGM new customers that don't yet have an account with BetMGM. Use the code THELINESYT50, and you can go ahead and get yourself up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet fails to cash. Also get $50 in bonus bets for free no matter what happens. So that's a nice little deal for you guys. If you don't yet have an account with BetMGM, definitely recommend checking that out. Some pretty soft lines at times, I will say, not to call them out, but you can take advantage of some BetMGM stuff in the NBA early on. They have the stones to give us bets early, and that's what I like about that book a lot. So let's get into your first play a prop here, Nate. I am fully on board with SPJ, right? Scottie Pippen J.
Yeah, but first of all, beautiful courts. Do you really believe that with the NBA Cup? Some of those are atrocious.
Creativity is in the mind of the beholder, and I don't think you caught the sarcasm in my voice.
Okay, yeah.
My bad. Too dry on that one.
Okay, yeah. Scottie Pippen Jr. though, we love this. I probably got to it before you were about to throw it in there.
You're right.
The kid is running the team without Ja Morant. I'll go over 10.5 rebounds and assists. That's one over the core line at most props, and DK will give you plus money on that. Also, like 3.5 rebounds and nearly even money at Caesars. Seems like lock that in as like a core 2-unit bet. Like these lines are way too low. I think the book's overreacting to maybe the blowouts in the last two, right? 27 minutes per game for him. So we haven't seen him fully unleashed. I mean, didn't have a triple-double, though, in one of those like 26 minutes. I mean, granted, that's against Washington, but this Lakers defense is no great shakes, particularly on the perimeter, where D'Lo is questionable with an illness and is not going to be a good defender, even if he is 100%. And once you get by those dudes on the perimeter, like AD can only be one place, so it's just assist opportunities galore. He had a team high, Scottie Pippen, that is, team high 48 passes off the bench when he played the Lakers a couple weeks ago because Ja was out there, so he only played 24 minutes. Still got 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 14 points, and 9 potential assists. So definitely room to grow there. 12 potential assists his last 2 as the main point guard without Morant and Bane. Marcus Smart might be back, but I don't expect him to really dominate on the ball that much. I think Pippen is the point guard for sure, and now averaging 7.7 dimes in 3 starts without Ja Morant this season. Lakers allow the 5th most assists overall. Like I'm saying, they're 24th in defensive rating. They have a great defender, a great anchor down low, but it has not helped them limit stats. And then they play very fast in general, so that's led to plenty of rebounding opportunities. And Pippen has proven to be athletic enough to grab those boards and then push it the other way and get these stats.
Yeah, for sure. I like adding the assist too after a really down game against a Portland team that would they win by 50, almost 50, right? Like 45 points or something. So 45 exactly. So yeah, there's that. I love that we get that in these moments as well. Kind of hit that eventually with Steph last night. I love these moments in time where like you look at a player, it's like he would have blown up. He's butting up against his prop, but they're winning by 20 or losing by 20, not able to get that off. Then you see what happens when they have another game that's a much better opportunity, not a blowout. This isn't going to be a blowout on either side, in my opinion. I think that the Grizzlies stick around, and I'd be going with them plus 6 or 7 before I would be going with the Lakers to beat anybody by that amount. But love Scottie P right now, and I'm going to go to a guy who I used to love, at least love taking his props when I thought he was getting time and minutes, and that was DeAndre Ayton, who was good for a double-double all over the place last year. I ain't thinking he's going to be good at it this year. Under 24.5 PR is the play in this one. Minus 115 is the best number right now. Don't know if that's going to move or how it's going to move. I just know I want to fade DeAndre Ayton against what I perceive to be a very pissed off Minnesota team, right? Like, how does Minnesota not come in here a few nights after losing to this team and beat them? Right, they have to. So I'm going to take a fade of DA through the lens of a potential blowout as well. Like I think him playing 20 to 22 minutes is highly likely. He's done that in the last 3 games, 2 of which were complete blowouts. He didn't play in this last game, and he's just not right with the coaching staff. They have a number of backups behind him that they'd rather get into the lineup. Donovan Clingan, much more the future of this team than DeAndre Ayton. I would say Duop Reith has a longer shelf life for this team than potentially DeAndre Ayton. So I'm going to take him to not get that many minutes. I also love that even when he gets 25 to 30 minutes against Rudy Gobert, he doesn't do anything with those minutes. He's averaging 9.7 points per game and 7.7 rebounds per game in his last 6 games versus Rudy in the regular season. 3 of those came on Phoenix, but it was a similar type of usage situation that he saw in Phoenix as what he was seeing in Portland when he plays against this Minnesota squad. So he's gone under in 5 of his last 6. And that last over was the first game with the Blazers against Minnesota at the beginning of last season when he was still getting minutes. And I think we've hit that point in the season where DeAndre Ayton is already going to see his minutes go down because they ain't playing for anything. I don't think they wanted to be as good as they were in the first 6 to 7 games of the season when they were giving teams a run, playing the Pelicans every game so that they could win because the Pellies weren't starting anybody. So this team is a lot worse than even its numbers show right now, in my strong opinion. Probably going to be without Anthony Simons as well, who left after 5 minutes yesterday. All this leads me to go, there ain't going to be enough time for this game to be close for DeAndre Ayton to go ahead and get his stuff in this one. Minnesota's weirdly allowing the 9th most points per game to centers, but I would also point out the centers that they've played, which includes Nikola Jokic twice, which includes a guy who's putting up 30 plus against them every time he can. Anthony Davis, the leading scorer in the NBA, Sabonis, Vooch, and Wemby. And Vooch, by the way, do not put disrespect on that man's name. He's like the 5th best offensive center in the league right now. Easy. Might even be higher than that with the way he's shooting the 3. So there's been some good center points, but they're not getting rebounds. They're just getting the second fewest rebounds centers are against this team. So I don't think DA is going to be good for his like 11, 12 boards that he needs to get over this. And Minnesota's starting to figure it out a lot more, minus that blip on the radar versus this team in their last game. They're back up to, 5th best defensive rating, 5th best in terms of limiting rim stuff. So I think they're back on track here, and this is going to be a wipeout for them.
Yeah, I guess a day too early trying to take the Wolves. The exact same line hung up here as we expect now them to just come back with the revenge on the back-to-back. A bit of a letdown spot for the Blazers who, yeah, as you mentioned, they're not playing for anything, but some of these tanking teams might be like NBA Cup, like maybe we could make a run in that. And so that, and they're like, okay, now we're back to regular season. The effort is the thing that was called out by Chauncey Billups. And the reason they came out and won that game mostly with bench production, with guys behind Ayton if he had started. So even if he goes out there and starts, yeah, I love this fade. I mean, because when he was producing with Phoenix, he had elite pick and roll guys dropping the ball off to him. He doesn't have that now. He's just going to have to score on Rudy Gobert on his own. And yeah, that probably ain't happening.
Nope.
So auto fade James Harden has been a very profitable moneymaker since he started the season hot. Let's go under 31.5 points and assists. You can tack on 7 rebounds for the whole bundle there, but rebounds a little more sporadic here against a Rockets team that plays choppy, sometimes misses a ton of shots, but they do not allow assists. They allow the fewest assists per game. They also allow the fewest paint points, fewest fast break points, and 3-point attempts. So how is James Harden supposed to get off his stuff? Like, he's mostly taking step back threes or trying to get all the way into the paint to threaten that rim protection and drop it off to Zubac, who, by the way, is only 8.3 points, 5.7 rebounds in 3 matchups against Ime Udoka's Rockets. Don't think either of those guys have a very good game here. Fred VanVleet, questionable with a hamstring, and I say amen to that, as Thompson should be all over James Harden if he gets that opportunity, that individual assignment. That's a big time problem for the Clippers. I think you can fade the Clippers offense. Season high 128 against the Thunder, who rolled out 5 guards in after the Chet injury, and that allowed the Clippers offense to spike. But I think Harden still went under basically all of his props, like despite the craziness there. I mean, he's shooting 33% from deep in his last 4, averaging 20 and 7.5, just not really approaching that. And now he faces a team that's absolutely ferocious defensively, especially at home. 99 defensive rating in their last 4 against not OKC. And they stopped allowing free throws as much. Like, that was a big weak point for the Rockets early. They're top 10 in these last 5, limiting that despite facing SGA and the Thunder. So I think it's a much easier task holding down Harden.
Yeah, I would just add a full agreement to stay away from the fading the rebounds. Those are something that I think he can pull down. I was actually considering taking it over on his rebounds because they refused to bring it higher than it really has been. Thing is, and in this game too, like I can see, for Harden and the way that these rotations might work. Most importantly for this team, like Zubac is going to be out there for Şengün, but I just see them beating the crap out of each other. And this is where James Harden has come in and been the guy to be able to like be the second best rebounder on the team. I mean, Derrick Jones Jr. is not a very good rebounder. He's not a 4 even, right, to be honest, but he's forced into these positions that he's a little bit uncomfortable with because of that. So yeah, I think he's going to continue to be basically the second best rebounder on the squad. And like those actually a little bit more to the over, but yeah, the dimes, even the points alongside it have been struggling, and Norm Powell has been the sort of number one option on offense, at least after James Harden sort of gets shut down. But let me close it out here with Brandon Boston, point guard of the New Orleans Pelicans. Brandon Boston, I really thought he was going to keep scoring, but it looks like he's the point guard now. Once we get Trey Murphy back, you have a few more shooters on the wing, and that's really just pushed him to the point guard position, which I thought Jose Alvarado would have done last game, but he did not. And in fact, even when Jose Alvarado's been out there as the quote unquote point guard, he has not been getting the potential assists or the touches or anything that Brandon Boston has. And look, it's one game since Brandon Boston's played with Trey Murphy. It was last game. And he was like the point god at that point. He had 15 potential assists, ended with 10 dimes. The rebounds, I think, are a fair play as well. I didn't look actually to make sure what those were. I think you get 10.5 rebounds and assists combined for him, but I think 4.5 assists. You could still get 3.5 for like minus 150 for him, but I think 4.5 for him to get 5 assists, even if he gets 12 potential assists, you dumb that down a little bit, I'm okay with it. Now look, he's playing a team that is good on defense. They're the best defense in the league. OKC, there's no hiding that. They actually give up assists though, right? This is a team that forces the ball out of the ball carrier's hands, and then he finds people in the corners. And the Pellies do want to shoot a good amount of their threes from the corners, especially Trey Murphy, but I think he'll probably be above the break. Everything for the Pellies is a little bit off. Every sort of angle outside of just Brandon Boston, point guard, only 4.5 assists. I think he's still good for double-digit potential assists in this game as the guy who had more potential assists than anybody by about 9. I don't believe there was anybody else on the Brandon Ingram also had a good amount. After that, there's nobody else. Like Jose Alvarado didn't even have potential assists last game. It was really just him, and then Jalen Noel had a couple as well. But like all of the potential assists are going to him, and some BI as well. The touches are going his way as well. Front court touches everywhere. He's the guy bringing the ball up. So playing point guard against a team that forces the ball out of your hands as much as they can with ball pressure, and then does not limit spot ups nearly as well, especially in those corners. I got to take this bet like at 4.5 and believe in what I saw last game, that he's going to be used in the same fashion. That's all this is about. Is I have one game sample size of him in this context, and I know how the team used him. It wasn't like he just fell into 15 potential assists. It's like that was the goal of the offense. So I'm going to keep buying into that. I'm going to believe in him to find shooters, and that this, not very robust Pelly's offense will at least be good enough to make 5 of the shots that he passes them.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a 2-game sample for Boston Jr. here, I guess, that like 35 plus minutes, like they just have nothing else because Alvarado's also out tonight.
Exactly.
So yeah, he is going to be the starting point guard or 2 guard if you want. I like combining with the rebounds just because, OKC's defense is pretty tough, but they do allow the most rebounds to shooting guards, and he's kind of a huge 6'7" shooting guard, and now everybody's 6'7" for the Thunder lineup. That defense, we got the first look without Chet. Like I said, they gave up 128. They gave up 31 assists to a Clippers offense that's not very good, especially assisting. So I think it's fair to say the Pelicans will have some production here. And Boston is a guy that I will take for the peripheral stats regardless, because like blowout factor, probably not as big a deal for him. Like you could still fade Brandon Ingram, who's got his absolute lunch stolen by Lou Dort every opportunity, and take Boston and be like, look, he's just going to be out there for 36 minutes because they have no other options, and he's a young guy they want to develop.
Yeah, that's a great call too on a fade of Brandon Ingram. I'll throw that out there, and I will say Jalen Williams, not Jalen Ingram, is probably good on the rebounds. I was messing up Brandon Ingram, Jalen Williams. I think J-Dub continues to be a good rebounder. 5.5 rebounds was free last game. We're talking about the center for the Thunder, Jalen Williams. So I think he's going to continue to be needed in that area. We'll see him get a bunch of boards tonight as well. But that's all the time we have for you guys in Play Up Props. Make sure to subscribe to that page and continue to follow along. Check out the Best Bets episode we have up for you today and each and every weekday. And until we see you next, happy betting.